Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Charity Miller. I am a believer, a business owner, and I also love all things fashion and tech. And as of just a few months ago, I am now a heart attack survivor at the age of 35. So what I'm going to share with you guys today is something that I've been just referring to as my heart story. And this is not necessarily why my heart attack occurred, but how, as far as the events, how they occurred, and what some of my symptoms were. So, this is my story of how I had a massive heart attack 2 weeks after my 35th birthday. So, first going back to June 13th, 2025 of this year. It's a Wednesday. I am just in Walmart with my nieces, just waiting in line. And I start feeling this pain in my chest. And I'm like, this is different. I've never felt this before. Where I wonder what this pain is coming from. Is this some type of indigestion or what? And it just kind of came and gone, came and went. And I remember after leaving Walmart, I then went to go pick up my nephew from the Boys and Girls Club because it's summertime at this point. And I remember having to wait to get out of the car and just praying because my chest pains have really intensified at that point. Still, I'm not knowing where this pain is coming from. I've never felt this before. And I'm like, And I'm just praying like, Lord, please help me to be relieved of this pain. So I had to gather myself for a few minutes. The pain went away and I went in and picked up my nephew. So this is on a Wednesday. The pains just continue to come and go, come and go. So I'm like, gosh, maybe this is some really bad heartburn. So I'm taking things for indigestion, Pepto, like different things like that, because I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's really bad heartburn. Maybe there's something that I ate because I am a little bit sensitive to acidic foods. So I was thinking maybe it was something that I ate. So Thursday occurs, same thing, chest pains that are really just coming and going, coming and going. But at this point, I'm starting to have a little bit of nausea that are coming with these chest pains too. So that continued on Thursday. Friday, which at this point, I can't remember what day it is, but the pain started on a Wednesday and it is now Friday. And I decided to go to the emergency room because, again, the pains just kept coming and going, and nothing I was taking was helping. So I go to the emergency room and they do all of your usual vitals, blood pressure, temperature, all of that. Everything was pretty fine at that point. But I did notice that earlier in the day, and what prompted me to go to the ER was that I still had the chest pains and I had nausea. But now at this point, along with those chest pains and nausea, I would have tingling in my left hand and sometimes in my right arm. Again, it was never super consistent, but it was something that came along with the chest pains. So I go to the ER, my vitals are good. They do an EKG. They check something called my troponin levels, which is typically what they're looking for to see if someone has had a heart attack. It's a particular type of protein or heart enzymes to basically indicate if you've had a heart attack or not. Those were fine. And as I am in the ER, I'm in the room alone at this point because I'm just kind of waiting for the doctor and the nurse to come in. You know how that goes when you go to the ER. A lot of time you're just waiting. And I feel the chest pains coming up as I am lying in the bed. But I also feel like I'm about to vomit. You guys know what that feeling is like when you know that you are about to vomit. So I press the nurse call button and I ask for an emesis bag. And that's just one of those little vomit bags, those bags that you use if you know you have to vomit. And the nurse came in just in time because at this point, I get the bag and I'm just vomiting deeply into this bag. Keep in mind, I haven't had any vomiting over the course of me having these chest pains. But right now in this emergency room, I have these intense chest pains and I'm just vomiting my guts out. And as I am vomiting, I am just burning up. I'm so hot. So I asked the nurse to bring me some water, like cold water and cold towels. And they had to give me a second emesis bag because that's how much I was vomiting. And as I'm in the middle of this episode of chest pains and vomiting, the doctor actually walks in and he's kind of freaking out a little bit. it's like he didn't know what to do. And I do understand that sometimes maybe doctors are a little bit far removed from seeing people vomit and seeing bodily fluids and things like that. But I just felt like he just was kind of stunned and he didn't know what to do. And I just remember him patting me on the back, like going like, "Oh, you poor thing." And I'm thinking like, "Don't pat me on the back, like help me." Like I'm sitting here vomiting my guts up. So they give me Zofran, I believe, to help with nausea. And the chest pains are still pretty intense, but at this point, I've vomited everything that I could have possibly vomited. And as soon as I got to feeling a little better, the nausea subsided. I was burning up, but I immediately switched to being freezing cold. I don't know if it's because I remembered that I'm in an emergency room and it's cold in here. But I just remembered that I went from being really hot and sweating to just then I was cold. Once the pain kind of, I got like a little bit of relief from the pain in that moment. But keep in mind, I didn't get anything. They didn't give me anything for the chest pain. They just gave me something for nausea. So maybe about 30, 40 minutes go by and the doctor comes in and he was like, are you feeling better? I was like, yeah, the nausea went away. The chest pains is still coming and going, but I'm not nauseous. I'm not vomiting anymore. And he was like, well, we only kept you here for a little bit so that we could observe your symptoms and make sure that the nausea and everything went away. And I was like, okay, well, what about the chest pains? And they're like, well, we can't really treat the chest pains because we checked your troponin levels. We gave you an EKG. So it looks like everything is fine with your heart. So nothing major that we need to worry about that's lurking around the corner. And I'm thinking, okay, but what if the chest pains reoccur? Like, what do I do? And they're like, well, we're not really sure how we should treat them, but we can't prescribe like narcotics or anything like that. And I'm just looking at, I'm not sure why he made that statement. So at this point, I'm just like, okay. And he said that we think that it's just really bad indigestion. So I'm like, okay, but can I still get a cardiologist referral so that I can see a cardiologist just to make sure? And he looked at me kind of puzzled as if it was abnormal for me to ask for a cardiologist referral when I was indeed having chest pains and things that seem like heart attack symptoms. But I'm like, okay, these are the professionals. If they say that it's just really bad indigestion, my heart looks good, everything but my vitals looks good, then okay. So I leave the ER and I drove myself to the ER on this day. So I'm literally in the car getting ready to pull out of the ER because they discharged me. I was only there maybe like an hour or two, and the chest pains come again. And I'm just praying to the Lord, like, Lord, please give me some relief from these chest pains. Because at that point, I knew it would be trouble with me driving. So they subsided enough in the moment for me to drive out of the parking lot and to drive home. So that was on a Friday. Saturday, all day, I'm back at home. And my movement is limited at this point because I'm feeling like the chest pains are intensifying. They're still coming and going, just coming and going. So I'm just lying around, just really trying to rest and just take it easy because at this point, I have these intense chest pains that I've had now for 3 days because it started on Wednesday. It's now Saturday. So I'm just lying down all day because I'm starting to have more limited, less mobility because of the intensity of the chest pains, even though they were still just coming and going. Never really consistent, just coming and going. So it's Saturday night going into Sunday morning. About 3 a.m., I am awakened in the middle of the night because I have the chest pains, the tightening in the chest. But at this point, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the chest pains did not go away. They never went away. So I just remember being balled up, like just in the fetal position, just praying to the Lord, like, Lord, please relieve me of this pain because this is the most excruciating pain that literally feels like someone has my heart and it's just squeezing it. Because at this point, there's a little bit of frustration too, because I'm like, I'm taking all these things from indigestion. The hospital told me that it was just indigestion. So that's how I'm treating it, but this pain is not going away. So several hours passed by. The pain started at 3 a.m. where the pain did not go away. And it gets to be about maybe 8 o'clock. I muster up the strength to get up and take a shower. I actually fell asleep standing up while I was in the shower briefly. I felt myself going to sleep. I don't know if it was because I was just up all night with these chest pains, but I just felt really exhausted. And at this point, I'm feeling like I'm out of breath. I don't know if it's because I'm like I was up all night, just balled up in pain, but right now I'm speaking like very low. So I get out the shower and I lie down because I'm like, at this point, I don't know what else to do. I'm just gonna rest and hope that hope and pray that this pain just goes away. So as I am lying down in the bed, I hear a voice so clearly say to me, which at this point I know it's the Lord saying this, but I hear a voice so clearly saying, go to the hospital. And I ended up just kind of just brushing it off and just going back to sleep because, again, I'm tired. So I'm just trying to get some sleep. But then I hear the voice again say so clearly, go to the hospital. So I get up and I asked my mom, I was like, hey, do you mind dropping me off at the hospital? I think I need to go back to the hospital. And she's like, yeah, I can absolutely take you back to the hospital. Just give me a couple minutes. So we go back to the hospital and usual check in. They check my vitals and my blood pressure. I believe both of those were also fine too. And they take me back and where they had these ER rooms, it was a bit of a walk. I remember it was like a long way to walk. I guess they're kind of like overflow ER rooms. And they asked me if I needed a wheelchair. At this point, I'm in excruciating pain because keep in mind, this chest pain has not gone away. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like I can walk, even though I kind of was struggling, but I'm just ready to get back there at this point. So they take me to the exact same ER room that I was in on Friday. Now it is now Sunday morning. I get to the ER at around like maybe 9 a.m. or something like that. They take me to the exact same ER room that I was just in 2 days prior. And there's a nurse that I see as I'm getting ready to go into the room, and she was like, hey, you were here the other day. And I was like, yeah, I was just here on Friday. And she was like, well, I didn't get to lay eyes on you, but I knew that you were like having some trouble because you needed Emmons' bag. And I was like, yeah, I'm here because I'm still having the chest pains. So I go into this room and they have someone to come in and do an EKG, literally the same thing that they had done on Friday, just 2 days prior. And the young lady that is doing the EKG, she does it the first time and she's like, like this is giving some weird results. Let me try again. So I look at the EKG machine, not that I can interpret what an EKG says anyway, but I'm just looking at it and I see that the results are the same as they were the first time. Again, I still don't know what it means. I don't know how to interpret it. And she's like, okay. So she just steps out of the room. And I kid you not, I am not exaggerating. It wasn't even 30 seconds to pass by before there are 2 nurses in the doorway of the room and a cardiologist who introduces himself to me. And I'm just sitting in the bed, Indian style, and just kind of chilling. Again, I'm still in excruciating pain, but at this point, I've just kind of gotten used to the pain because I've had this pain over the past several days. So I'm just sitting there, just texting my mom, just giving her an update on everything, saying they had just performed the EKG. But when they come into the doorway where there are two nurses and a cardiologist, they come in and they just casually say, hey, we see a blockage and we need to repair it. And I'm thinking, okay, because I don't know what that means. So I'm just, sitting in the bed, Indian style, and I'm texting my mom and updating her. And I say to the nurses and doctor, I'm like, okay, I'm just 1 minute. I'm just, texting my mom, updating her on what's going on. And they're like, no, you don't understand. You need to get up right now. We have to repair this blockage. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And before I know it, I can't even grab my things because I've taken my shoes off because the 2 nurses have grabbed my things. One grabbed my shoes and the other one grabbed my purse. And as I'm getting into the wheelchair, at this point, the cardiologist has the wheelchair and is prepared to push me in the wheelchair. And they're just, kind of casually talking. And when they're putting me into the chair, into the wheelchair, I'm like, okay, I'm actually saying, okay, we're getting some action. It's like today, something's going on, meaning I was just here 2 days prior and nothing happened, even though we've done the exact same thing. And one of the nurses that was there on Friday, she says, yeah, well, you got release, like, you know, you got your relief or attention or proper care 2 days prior? And I said, no. I just said no. And so the cardiologist has me in the wheelchair. The two nurses are working beside, they have my things. And the cardiologist is just carting me down to, I don't know where, all of them are there. And he's just talking to me in a very calm tone. You know, just asked me a little bit about myself. And, you know, I tell him I'm a business owner. He asked about my business and what type of businesses I typically work with and things like this. Just casual conversation. And then I realized that as I'm being carted off to who knows where, again, the cardiologist is pushing my chair, I realized that we are in the trauma department. And I'm thinking, because at this point, all they have told me that there's a blockage that they need to repair. They didn't tell me where or didn't tell me how or any of this. And I still don't know what a blockage is at this point. I'm just going by whatever it is that they say. So I see we're going into the trauma department and we approach this trauma room. And I'm not kidding you guys. I am not exaggerating when I say that there was a room full of at least 20 people, doctors, nurses, different doctors. They were waiting for me to get there. So as soon as they take me into the room, it was just like a blur. Everything was just moving so fast. And there are pharmacists that are introducing themselves to me. There are nurses. There are at least 2 additional cardiologists that are introducing themselves to me. And just so much chaos and things are going on. Someone hands me a piece of paper saying like, hey, we need you to sign this in case there's like blood products, in case you need blood products during your procedure. So I'm lying down on this bed. Someone is like, have someone taking my top clothes off, my bottom clothes off. Like I didn't have to do anything. Like there are so many people that were just kind of like fidgeting with me at this point. And I'm really still not sure what is actually going on at this point. So I'm lying down and there's a female cardiologist that comes and introduces herself to me and she says, hey, so I hear you've been having some chest pains. When did you start having these chest pains? And I said on Wednesday. So it's Sunday again. And I said, I've been having these pains since Wednesday. They were on and off before, but as of like about 3 o'clock this morning, they've been just consistent. They haven't gone away. And she says, well, if you started having the chest pains on Wednesday, it looks like you have had a massive heart attack. And we have to repair this blockage because you have an artery, a coronary artery within your heart that is 100% blocked. And I guess I was just kind of stunned when she said that because I didn't respond. And she said, do you understand what I'm saying, ma'am? You've had a massive heart attack and we have to fix this blockage right now. And I said, yeah, like I understand what you're saying. So I just remember looking up at the ceiling and just thinking like, this is interesting. But I will say I was never at one point like scared or anything. I remember just praying, saying, Lord, like I thank you that one, I'm about to get relief because they were basically prepping me for a procedure to fix that 100% blockage, also called like a thrombotic occlusion. And I'm like, Lord, thank you that I'm going to get relief for this pain, but also if this is my time, this is my time. Like, I trust you, Lord. Like, I wasn't fearful at all. I was most excited about the fact that I was going to get some relief because I've had this pain that has just been persistent over the past 4 days. So they are basically prepping me for the procedure, and there are so many people that are just, just working on me. And the cardiologist also tells me, hey, there is also another blood clot that you have that's in your heart's chamber. I believe it's on the other side. There's another blood clot that you have, so we have to start giving you blood thinners immediately. So they put me on heparin, I believe it was. They're like, we need to really start trying to shrink that. So they are still all kind of prepping me because at this point I haven't had the procedure yet. They're basically giving me the rundown about what's going on. So again, there are a lot of people in this room and I'm lying down flat. And I remember looking to the side and there are probably about 10 people that are standing in the doorway outside of this room because it just has all glass walls. So it didn't like have a usual door like you would normally see in ER rooms because this is the trauma department. And I remember all of these people just standing outside of the doorway. They were not in the room, but I remember the look on all of their faces. They looked a combination of perplexed, but also sad. They looked really sad. And I remember thinking, like, why are they looking like that? Like, why are they looking like that? Because even though they told me I had like a massive heart attack and I had this clot, again, I was never freaking out. I was never scared or anything. I was glad to get relief, but I'm like, why are they looking at me like that? They look like really kind of confused, but also sad. So the people in the room start to die down a little bit, and there is another cardiologist that comes in. There's still a lot of people in there, so I say that to say that the people in the room died down a little bit. And there's this second cardiologist that comes in, and I'm lying flat. I can hear him, but I can't like really see him too well because I had to just like kind of turn to the side. And he says like, hey, this is really bad. Like, this is a really bad blockage. You should have come in earlier. You should have come here sooner. And the nurse, the same nurse that was there when I came in on Friday, that was also there in this moment on Sunday, I don't even know where she came from. I didn't even realize that she still was in the room because there are so many people. And she says to this doctor, and I just hear her, I don't see her, but I just hear her to say that she was here. She was just here on Friday and she came back. And I was grateful that she said that because the doctor is actually kind of rude when he said it. He's like, this is really bad. Like, you should have come in sooner. But I did. I had come in sooner just 2 days prior, but was told that I had indigestion, only to find that 2 days later, it is a massive heart attack. There likely is more damage that is occurring because I went longer and longer with that blockage to where I'm sure by the time I got there on Sunday, it was 100% blocked, likely because it wasn't noticed on when I went on the first day. So the people in the room finally start to die down a little bit, and one of the nurses, I guess she's just, you know, kind of looking at me and is wondering like if I'm worried, how I'm feeling, because I wasn't really like saying anything. I mean, I was asking questions, but I was really just kind of taking everything in because again, it was like a blur. There was just so much that was going on. And she comes over and she's like, it's okay, like you're in good hands, everything is okay. And I said, I know, like because I'm in God's hands. And she's like, yep, you're right, you got that right. So let's see, the room clears out, and what they're doing in this room was actually prepping me to go to the catheter lab. And in the cath lab is where they're actually going to do the actual repair, and that they're fixing the blockage. So what they're going to do in the cath lab is to implant something called a stent, because at this point I have this blood clot that occurred in my left ventricle within my heart and blocked one of the coronary arteries in my heart, and it stopped blood from properly flowing to my heart. So they had to fix that. So they took me to the cath lab, and the same cardiologist that pushed me from my ER room into trauma, he was actually the doctor that performed my my cath procedure. So they take me to the cath procedure and they implant something called a stent to repair that that broken, I guess you could say, artery. I am awake during that entire procedure. In the process, what it entails is that they take I would say maybe like kind of like a thin tube that has like a camera on the end, and they can enter either through like your wrist, because they need to go in through your main artery. So in my case, they went in through my wrist because I have like a little small mark there, or they can go in through your groin, but they went in through my wrist area. And they have this tube that has a little tubing that has a little camera on it that is kind of strung all the way up to get into your heart, and that is how they implant the device in there. So I'm super grateful for the technological advances that have occurred in medicine, because had this been 30 years ago, I likely would have had to have open heart surgery to repair the damage that occurred in my heart. So I'm awake during the entire procedure, and the doctor is great. I see things on the, I guess you could say like X-ray kind of machine or something like that. So he's pointing out to me like, this is what your artery looked like before, this is what it looks like now. And I don't even understand like medical terminology. Of course, I don't know how to interpret these things, but I could see where it was just like completely dark where my vessel had been prior, and then it's like it just kind of lit up when they implanted the stent in there. So it's like it gave my artery life again. So that was really cool to see. And the procedure went really well. From there, I had to go to the ICU. And I was in the ICU for maybe a day or so. And I remember just going into my ICU room, and they had someone to come in and to do an echo, which I believe an echo is more of like an ultrasound of the heart. So if you're familiar with getting like an ultrasound done, that I remember having this really good tech that did just my echo bedside, and they're like, yeah, like you're really popular today. Like the cardiologist actually called for me to come in today to do this for you. Because keep in mind, the same cardiologist that literally pushed me from my room, did my procedure, he then had to leave, but he was still in contact with the tech that did the echo and also some of the residents. So I'm so grateful to that doctor, because I felt like he was the first doctor that actually cared. And he never left my side until after it was time for him to leave. And then when he did leave, he was still being updated by the residents, was checking in, and also requested for this particular young lady to do my echo, because I could imagine what that is like as a doctor. You have someone to come in that is very young, and it's not common for 35-year-olds to have a massive heart attack. And before that cardiologist left, my family at this point is aware because the cardiologist, the female cardiologist that I told you guys about, that actually told me that I had the heart attack, she spoke with my mom. And also, by the time I was in my ICU room, I had already come back from the cath lab. The doctor who performed my cath procedures, the same cardiologist that I'm referring to, that was kind of there from beginning to end, he talked to my family and just told them like, hey, this is really bad. We did fix the blockage that she had. We did implant a stent, so we have that fixed, but keep in mind, I still have this additional blood clot that they're really having to monitor closely, because at this point there is a risk of stroke with me having this blood clot. And of course, we know that clots can travel as well. So in ICU, and I'm getting like really good care. And at this point, I'm feeling like people are actually paying attention and listening to my request and making sure that I'm good. I had the procedure done. Everything went well there. I did have to have this kind of contraption that was on my wrist, and it had to be it basically the incision that was on my artery. They had to protect that to make sure that I didn't hit it on anything. So I remember that was really challenging, because I had this tight, almost kind of, it was like a box, like a clear box around it, and it was so tight around my wrist to where my fingers turned blue. My fingers were blue because the circulation was limited in my hand. So then after a certain number of hours, they started to kind of like loosen the little contraption, whatever it was that was around my wrist. And they had to relieve pressure from it like maybe once every hour for several hours. So I was completely relieved once that I was able to get that off, and I had to just be really careful. So my family comes in. I was super grateful to see my family. And at this point, I feel like I'm getting really good care. It's maybe that later that night where I meet the cardiology team, to where they're like, okay, we are not really sure how this occurred. And I'm just going to put a little bit of my health history in here. I am hypertensive, so I do have high blood pressure. I have since I was 13 years old. Have always been healthy, eating clean, working out. I'm just one of those people that have really odd genetics. So I've been hypertensive since I was 13. And I am also diabetic. I've been diabetic for about 8 years. Again, another one of those things that is just like a weird, random genetic thing. I've never been overweight, taking care of myself, and all of that. So fast forward to back into the ICU room, the cardiologist team comes in, and the cardiologist, this is a different cardiologist, so this is like a third cardiologist, who is now my primary cardiologist now. And she's like, we don't know how this occurred. You don't have any history of heart disease. Yes, you are hypertensive, but it's been well managed for a very long time. So we don't know what it was that was causing your blood to clot. So just be prepared, because I'm going to have a lot of people coming in asking you and your family questions to get an understanding of how this occurred. So over the course of me being in the hospital, I am asked just like so many different questions about my background, my environment, like my habits, and they're also asking my family about, like, is there a history of blood clots, or is there a history of heart disease, and all of these things in the family. And there is like but not like super immediate family as far as like clotting and heart disease. But the thing is, what's really perplexing about it is that I've always had my heart checked. Just because of being hypertensive so long, you want to make sure that you are checking in, that all of your organs are good, because that can be hard on your organs after a while. So I always had my heart checked. I had last had my heart checked thoroughly a year before. So something occurred between that year to where I went from having a perfectly healthy heart, had a stress test and everything, to where I now have this 100% blockage that it has occurred. And I was told that that level of blockage, that level of damage, that it occurs over time. Again, I had no idea that this was something that was even occurring until I realized, after the fact, after the heart attack had already occurred. So as I'm in the hospital, there are a ton of students and residents, because this is a teaching hospital, that are just coming in asking me every single question under the sun. And they're even wanting to pull my records, my childhood records from the local children's hospital, to get an understanding of, why I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. They're like, hey, did they ever figure out like why you were diagnosed with high blood pressure? Like, no, they just said that it was just hereditary, just something that was likely genetic. So they never pinpointed a root cause for that. And as I'm in the hospital, one, I was just super grateful for all of the love and support that I received from friends and family, and all the visits and the beautiful flowers and everything. I just felt so loved. But I just remember just feeling so much gratitude, just so grateful to the Lord, that I had relief, because after they did the stent procedure, I didn't have the chest pains anymore. And I'm sure that's what it was once I started like having that pain that didn't go away, that's when that blockage likely got to 100%. I'm just assuming, I'm not a medical professional. But I just felt like so much love and appreciation for people that came to visit me and send me flowers. But I just remember feeling so grateful to the Lord that he had relieved me of the most excruciating pain that I've ever experienced in my life, that I experienced on and off for the course of 4 days, that he relieved me of that pain, but that he also deemed me worthy to still be here on this earth. Because I remember just lying in the bed, just really thinking about it. I didn't have a minor heart attack. I had a massive heart attack, and I still had to really get work on getting that blood clot like relieved as well. And I knew that I would have a journey with building my endurance back up, because at this point my life is not the same, and I'm still in the process of processing that as I'm in the hospital, that okay, like my heart just took a really big blow, and they told me that like, hey, you're gonna have to really like, work to get your endurance up, but it can't be done. You'll just have to work to build your endurance back up. And I was just so grateful to God that I'm just like, guys, like, Lord, it is literally a miracle that I'm even here telling this to you guys today, because the Lord could have taken me. He could have taken me on that day, and I honestly would have been okay with that. But I was just so grateful that he still deemed me worthy to still be here. So I'm like, okay, that means that the Lord is not done with me. He still has some things that he wants me to do here on earth. And I was just so grateful for that. So post heart attack, I have the procedure. I'm in the hospital. They're really just kind of updating me on the current state of my heart. There's something called an ejection fraction, where I don't know how to like describe it in like a super a non-confusing way, but I will just say that you can just look at it as like your heart's function and your heart's ability to pump oxygen into into the rest of your organs. The average person's ejection fraction is 60%, but after I had my heart attack, again, my heart took a blow, my ejection fraction was 25%. So it was very low. That meant that my heart function was very low at that point. But again, they said that, hey, you could get it up. It's just going to take some time for you to get your endurance back and to where I'm not so winded and all of those things. So I am released from the hospital after about 4 days. And from there, that's where my healing journey really begins. I was assigned to do cardiac rehab for about like 12 weeks was what I was told, to do it for 12 weeks. But I ended up having to do it much less time because I was able to progress through it really well. And I'm super grateful for cardiac rehab. In that program, they really equipped me and gave me really good tools and information to help me live a life that is very heart healthy. So having a particular diet that is low in cholesterol, low in sodium, having more complex carbs, and just also thinking about like your mental health. Your mental health is something that they really put a lot of emphasis on after a heart attack, because a lot of people aren't able to adjust well to the changes that come after having a heart attack, just because you aren't able to do the things that you used to be able to do. I don't have energy all of the time. You can be tired. You can have dizziness. It's a lot of things that you do have to get used to. So they really put a lot of emphasis on taking care of your mental health, having the proper mindset to grow and to want to get better, to watch what you eat, and sleep. Sleep is also very important too. So I did have to do cardiac rehab. I think I maybe did it for about 6 to 8 weeks. And just going through what looks different now in my life is that I am very tired. I am very easily winded, and the days aren't always the same. Some days I am perfectly fine. I feel normal. I feel kind of like my old self. And then some days, like when they're hard days, they're really hard. Like I have to be careful not to get up too fast so I don't get lightheaded, or I have to be careful with not falling, because at this point I now take multiple blood thinners because I had these clots to occur, but there still is no root cause as to how these clots occurred. And I'm probably going to provide like another video to you guys to go a little bit more in detail into what my life looks like now, what my day-to-day looks like now, and how things have changed. But I really wanted to share this story with you to one, just really speak on the goodness of God. He is so good, and he has truly worked a miracle in my life. And I call it like my heart story, and how this all came to be a mystery and a miracle. A mystery in that till this day, I'm now about 4 months post-heart attack. Till this day, there still is not a root cause to that has been determined to figure out how I got these blood clots, how I got this major blockage, how I got this heart attack. So it's a mystery in that sense, but also in a miracle that the Lord chose to keep me. He chose to keep me here. And I am just so grateful to the Lord. I mean, he is just so good. And I want to encourage you guys that if you do not know the Lord, please do get to know him. He is so good. He's so faithful. And he is just, I will just forever and ever sing of the praises of the Lord, because he's so good and he has worked a miracle in my life. So first thing, I'm a miracle. I'm a living, breathing, walking miracle. If you don't know the Lord, get to know him. 2, I really want women to be aware of the symptoms of having a heart attack. That is something that is very near and dear to my heart now, just because that is a huge part of my life now with me being a heart attack survivor, is bringing awareness to heart health and the importance of heart health. So even if you do everything right, in my case, I take care of myself. I manage my illnesses that I do have well. I work out, I eat clean, I'm not overweight or any of that. Even if you do everything right, you can still have a heart attack. You can still have heart disease. So I would say to be aware of what the heart attack symptoms are, which my symptoms were very telltale heart attack symptoms. Women, I know our bodies are different. We could have, chest pains, but it'd be related to something else. We could have nausea, but it'd be related to something else. But I would still say to the fact that if you have nausea, you have chest pains, you have tingling in your numbs, things that you know are common heart attack symptoms such as those, please do get your heart checked to be on the safe side. If heart disease runs in your family, if you have heart disease or not, because again, I don't have any heart disease. Of course, I have heart failure now because of the acute heart failure from the heart attack. But prior to that, I did not have any diagnosed heart disease, coronary artery disease, or anything. So even if you think or even know that you don't have any heart disease, or even if you eat healthy and eat clean, still do get your heart checked, because the heart is a very tricky muscle, in my opinion, and you can't always know like what's going on in the heart. And just like how an EKG can't always see what's going on in the heart unless there's like a heart attack occurring like in the moment. So if you have symptoms that are common heart attack symptoms, please do be sure to see a cardiologist and get your heart checked and make sure things are good, because heart disease and just heart related issues are so common and so much more prevalent in women, and you could save your life. You could help to save the life of a loved one by really making sure that you're paying close attention to your heart. So I want to invite you guys in on my journey of recovery, on my journey of healing. I'm going to continue to post some different videos. One that for sure is going to go over what my day-to-day looks like a little bit more in detail, how things have changed, and also to provide some details exactly on my heart attack, also known as a STEMI. You can just Google that in all caps. So I also want to provide some details on the extent of the type of heart attack that I had, to have an understanding of it, because there are different types of heart attacks. So I want to leave you guys with God is good every single day, every single minute. If you do not know him, please do get to know him. And two, get your heart checked. If you know someone that if they have risk factors or not, encourage them to go to see a cardiologist just to make sure everything is good, because you never know if it could save your life, of the life of a loved one. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and share, because I really do want to bring awareness to heart health. So please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoyed me just sharing my journey of recovery with you guys. Bye.